Ooh, looks like we finally got the cast for the new Fantastic Four movie that's coming out that we've been waiting for so long. Hey there, this is your Matt Doodle with Too Much Time on His Hands. Doodle here with another video. And today I want to talk about this cast we have for the new Fantastic Four movie and how it's portrayed. Now, I do think it's smart they did it for Valentine's Day for reasons I will get into a little bit later. Everyone here looks like they match the character, except the main one I want to talk about, Pedro Pascal. First of all, everyone else looks like they actually belong, but ironically, I know almost nothing about them. I know they're on other stuff, but, not really a lot of superhero stuff, so not even then. But Pedro Pascal hasn't been in things that I tend to like The Last of Us and The Mandalorian. So I'm probably going to be able to talk about my thoughts on him. Now, people say that it takes more for an actor to be that character than more than just looking like them, which I'm hoping for the other ones. Now, people have said they're very worried about this version of Reed Richards because it's Pedro Pascal, because of his personality. I don't think that should matter to the character. Now, does he look exactly like Mr. Fantastic? Honestly, no, because, the mustache and, how old he is. But I can immediately spin that. This is Reed freaking Richards. He is like one of the smartest men alive, but he's not as, well kept. He's a scientist that overthinks. He tries to find solutions to literally everything. And, they're going to have their abilities. And it's mostly a well-known thing that Reed feels horrible for the fact that, he created this mess and gave them ability, especially for Ben. And usually Reed tries to figure out a way to make Ben better. So he never has free time, whether it's with his, family now or trying to fix Ben. So I usually go with that as the fact that Reed looks really old for his age because, the stress. Also, it gives him, he still has the white hair on the sides, which is, iconic with him. Maybe just cut the mustache, but they show in this, Valentine thing, he's probably going to keep it because, the people feel more with Pedro Pascal. But, okay, the reason why I think that Pedro Pascal is really good to play him is because of what I've seen with him. I know people say that he is too kind, too sweet, and everything like that, and, very helpful for people. But remember, he's an actor, so he has to play in these things. And the reason why I say that he's going to be really good is because of the things I've seen him again, like The Last of Us and Mandalorian. Those characters right there were very complicated, and Reed is so complicated. Yes, I know that the Fantastic Four have their little, stereotypes. Like Sue is, is the traditional mother type character that keeps everyone in check more often than not. But Ben is the traditional jock character. Johnny is, the fiery head, the young one, the one that acts like a kid. But Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, is a little more complicated. He is the scientist, the aloof, and how they've done that beforehand. But something that I think Pedro Pascal can bring to the character of Reed Richards that a lot of them have not, like the 2015 one, which is terrible, didn't even really act like him. The 2005 one, which I'm more used to, is that, he was cool. But the problem is he was too sweet as a scientist. Yes, he was aloof and, forgot things. But there's more to that. The Reed in the comics is kind of cynical in how he's smart because he's like a computer. He thinks with everything in logic because that's how he can control everything. And that's the parallel between Doctor Doom and Reed Richards, that they're so close.
I can think of 14 different ways to seal you in that armor forever. Honestly, Tony.
Even in an Ultimate Universe, there's a Reed Richards who got a little too far and became evil. So there's that little sadisticness in Reed. He's aloof, but in a way where it's he's trying to be very literal with things. And he's kind of not necessarily angry, but more frustrated. Because to him, he has the world or the multiverse in his shoulder because, of the scientists. Because there's one thing with the Fantastic Four that I think people forget. These guys are not superheroes. They're not usually. Yes, they help fight crime, but they're more let's say, more like explorers that go out in the stars to find anything interesting to, discover. They actually are scientists. That's the point of going into space. They're scientists. They go out and do, the things they do. So I think Pedro Pascal can bring the cynicalness of Reed Richards that we desperately need, but in a good way. Again, because of how he was portrayed in The Last of Us and The Mandalorian, and those are very cynical people. They don't want families in the beginning, but spoiler a little bit. They gain a family later on, and they learn to love. So I think it's perfect that they actually casted him. I would have liked someone younger, but it's Pedro Pascal. So what are you gonna talk? What are you gonna do about it? Now let's actually talk about the Valentine's Day part of this poster, and how people tend to say it's really weird that they decided to show the casting on Valentine's Day, but I actually think it's perfect for who the Fantastic Four are. They are a literal family, more than like the Avengers are. Reed and Sue usually are either engaged or already married by the point they become, the Fantastic Four. Johnny is, Sue's younger brother, and he acts like a kid. Ben is like Reed's best friend, and the dynamic is very family-like. Reed and Sue are the parents, and Johnny is the baby brother, while Ben is like the uncle. At least that's the way I see it personally. So I actually think it's perfect for Valentine's Day for all of them, because normally people just think Valentine's Day as the loved one that you have, like like your partner. But Valentine's Day is more than that. It's for everyone you love, and the Fantastic Four love each other even when they argue, which is the best part of them because they act like actual people. And it would actually be really cool to see the dynamic that Reed and Sue have, and how Reed Richards has a problem in showing his affection, which is the point of that, and how it shows like why would Sue be with someone like him who's very withdrawn, and how they can point that out in this movie. I'd also really like to see the relationship between Johnny and Ben, on how they bicker a lot like brothers, but deep down they love and care about each other so much. Now, I want to go into the costumes or the outfits they have in this little poster. I know this is just supposed to be like a little hey, these are the actors we're putting in there, which is cool, but that's not what their costume is, but it's the way they do it. They're wearing light blue and yellow, which is awesome. I know it's supposed to be like a sweater, but like this may be a clue into the actual costumes themselves. And I've heard, I'm not sure, this is not completely confirmed, but I've heard that it's supposed to take place in an alternate reality than the 616 universe. Or it's in the 616 universe, but in the 60s, which would still make them the first family, but I prefer it's an alternate universe so we don't have to worry about the jumble, World War II and, like everything after, we have to worry about it if it's alternate. So I really hope it's that. But even if it's not, I'm good. I'm okay with that. But I would really like the fact that this technically version of the Fantastic Four, their suits are based on their, space outfits, the white. And it would actually be really cool because we have not seen the white since the 90s television show and that horribly made Fantastic Four movie that was never officially released, but was released later on. So I find that really cool. If it's not that specifically, I just hope it's not overly designed, which I know Marvel has done even in the time that Mr. Fantastic was shown in Multiverse of Madness. That suit was horribly designed. So I hope that's done well. I'm just really excited for this. I know I didn't really talk about the other actors, but again, it's because I am not really aware of what they've done outside of, the things I watch, with at least with Pedro Pascal, with, Star Wars, or like, the video games of like The Last of Us stuff. I don't really know anything else of that. They may have done other stuff. If you want to correct me and they are in stuff that I may like, please let me know in the comments down below. But honestly, it doesn't necessarily matter to me. What matters to me is their performance. If they're done well, they look great as the characters, but it doesn't necessarily matter if they look good, if they don't, work well. The reason why I say that is because when I was little and I grew up with the 2005 Fantastic Four films, those are my Fantastic Four. They weren't, how they are in the comics, but they were the ones I knew. See, I didn't know who the actors were beforehand. I didn't know they were A-list celebrities. One, because I was like 4 years old. But even when I got older, I didn't necessarily care. They could have been A-listers. But I didn't know who the actual actors were until I decided to look them up because of the movie. I didn't know that Michael Chiklis played the Thing before the movie. I didn't know Jessica Alba played Susan Storm before this movie. I didn't know Chris Evans played Johnny Storm until this movie. And then I didn't know about Ian this. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I didn't know who he was before this movie. And now because of them, I see them everywhere. Especially Chris Evans, as later becoming Captain America. It doesn't matter to me whether you are or aren't an A-list celebrity, as long as you're doing the role well, because that role can either make you an A-list celebrity, or not one, depending on your acting chops. But I do think that having them in this movie can make them bigger, for the new Fantastic Four movies. And that's what I'm excited for. I'm hoping that they can at least bring in the family part together, because that's the important part. And I hope they're able to go past the stereotypes that each character has, as I've explained for Reed Richards. Like, yes, Johnny is a kid, but he grows out of it, and that's his way. Ben learns that he needs to be in that rock form to be with his family. Sue is the mother figure, but she will kick your ass if she has to. What do you think? Do you think that these actors can be, the Fantastic Four? Do you think it matters how if they look like the actors more than their acting chops? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know what you think of Pedro Pascal being, the new Reed Richards. If it makes sense on how I said it or not. What are your thoughts? Because I would genuinely like to know. And if you're still here by this point, thank you. And I hope you stay nerdy. This has been Dunamite, and I hope to see everyone in the next video.